What's up, everyone? I'm Ethan with my co host John. Finally, I have a co host that actually does the podcast with me. We're live, we're talking college basketball. It's champ week and a half. It's already started on Monday with the NEC. Today we got the Sun Belt, and there's already been a lot of upsets.
Oh
John,
yeah. Well, so I just got done with my season. I've been focusing on school and basketball, and now it's full tournament time. Hopefully, or barring anything else happening like finals. But I'm really excited to talk about this. I think four conference tournaments have started, so we're already getting pretty thickly into champ week. No major stuff has happened yet, but there's been a lot of things that could have implications on mid-major championships. So I'm ready to dive into it.
Yep, and already with the Northeast Conference, you had Central Connecticut State beating Farley Dickinson. I know you don't care about that, but that's the first round of the NEC tournament. And then you also have Tennessee Tech beating Austin Peay. You have Campbell barely beating Presbyterian in double overtime last night. I'm trying to scroll through all of the tournament games that have happened. I'm not even sure if I remember all of them. SIU Edwardsville lost 77-62 to Tennessee State. That's a game that's not going to have much impact overall in the tournament, but never know. And really, we didn't have much besides Wagner finally coming out of their shell of the past 2 weeks to win by 29. And then today, in the two tournament games, the entire Southern Conference yesterday went into overtime, and it was a lot of fun watching. But today, we had two Sun Belt games that were both within 4 points or less. We had Louisiana Lafayette barely winning over Texas Arlington, the 8 and the 9 seed, 67-64. And then we had Arkansas Little Rock beat South Alabama, 75-71. And I'm going to keep this real short because we don't have a lot of Arkansas Little Rock or South Alabama fans watching this. But during the season, South Alabama beat Little Rock by 32 points. Today, Arkansas Little Rock managed to come back. And we got a question in the chat, so before we get right into the tournament, from Callum, prediction for SMU in the tournament. I'm heading there in about 45 minutes to watch them versus Cincinnati live. Well, John, I know you're from Dallas. I know you love the American Conference. I'll let you answer this.
So here's the deal about SMU. As of right now, they have an auto bid, and they've been playing better as the season's gone on. I think they're I'm even looking right now, but they're 20-7 in conference. And this is a team that doesn't have any particular star players, at least comparing the national scene. I know you got guys like Kendrick Davis. He's averaging 20 a game, but in terms of this team going deep in the tournament, I think it would be really good for this team if they went to the second weekend. Now that I'm looking at it, they're second in the American. As I said earlier, they're going on a really, really good win streak. They have some guys that can really score. They have a semi-big-time player in Kendrick Davis, but he's not like on the national scene at all. And I think this is a solid team, but there have been better years, like when we had Semi Ojeleye and other players who were, NBA bound, like Shake Milton as well. That team was really, really good, but they only play in the first round. So I think this is a second weekend hopeful, but anything more than that would be insane. But I think this is a team that can win a game in March Madness. I can definitely see that happening this year.
For sure. I think that they're second round exit myself, depending on their seeding and depending on matchups, because we know anything's possible in March.
Actually, yeah, it all depends on seeding, really. I mean, realistically, if they get a good bid, they could easily walk into the second weekend. But if they get a bad one, they could easily lose in the first round. It's just about who they play. If they get a good, preferable matchup, I could definitely see them going to the second weekend. That's not a question. That's really for any team in their boat, though.
Very true. As we go to Joe Lunardi's recently updated bracketology, top overall seed of Gonzaga, that's realistic. First team out, Loyola. The only reason why they're close to this in the first place is because of their brand name over the past 4 years. Yes, I'm still upset about that from last year, but whatever. And last team in is Rutgers after they beat Indiana at the Assembly Hall last night. What a game.
The Scarlet Knights. Good Lord. They've been on a tear lately.
They have. Ron Harper Jr. is NBA ready. As we go to look to on the bubble, last four buys, you got Creighton, San Francisco, Wake Forest, and Michigan. I don't like that Michigan's there. Whatever. Last four in, Memphis, San Diego State, Indiana, and Rutgers. Indiana, Rutgers. I'm guessing that they're flipped, or Indiana might be in the first 4 out. We'll see. But Rutgers and Indiana.
My question is I mean, okay, San Francisco's a good team, but why are they still in the in the category they're in? I mean, this is a team who hasn't beat Gonzaga or St. Mary's this year, and at this point, beating BYU is really not that hard. They're not that good of a team this year outside of one player, but I don't get why they have such a really good position right now in the seeding.
And they're 23, Nate.
Yeah, but they're fourth in their conference. That's my thing. Like, and who have they beaten that's been particularly impressive? Like,
I'm scrolling up through their schedule. I'm not, if I'm being 100% honest.
Like, they beat Arizona State.
UNLV, UAB are good wins. I'll give them that. They beat Davidson. Okay. I understand why it's fair.
But they haven't beat St. Mary's. They haven't beat Gonzaga, which beating Gonzaga is very, very difficult regardless. And I don't know. I'm just not convinced personally. I mean, they haven't had any bad losses, to be fair. I mean, unless you want to count Grand Canyon's bad loss, even though Grand Canyon's a very good team. And they've got it done against a lot of good mid-major teams, but in terms of beating teams that are going to be deadly in the field, they haven't beaten one. So I'm just a little concerned that they're going to get overseeded and they're going to take a spot from a team that could really do something with it. That's trying to make a late season push. But
yeah, I see that. Nice.
Another team, as Ethan already brought up, that I'm flat out confused. I guess it's based on brand names now. Is Michigan. Like, what's going on here? I don't understand. I do not understand why this team is in a position where they're at. I could see it if you have second to last team in, but to give them an last four, like in the situation they're in right now, I mean, they're 10-8 in conference. Like, come on, they haven't beaten any good teams in so long. I mean, they just lost Illinois. I get they just beat Michigan State, but what does that matter? They've lost, I think, they're 5 out of their last 6 L's, and they haven't really beat much good comp this season. I mean, they beat Michigan State. I think they beat Rutgers a few days ago, and then before that they beat Iowa. But when was the last time they beat a ranked team? Like, come on. The last time they beat a ranked team, actually, now looking at it, is about a month ago when they beat Purdue, which was just a fluke game. But before that game, they beat Penn State by 1. So, I don't know. I mean, they have some really, really, really good players on the team. But for some reason, they're not playing the way they're supposed to be.
Yep. And then the first 4 out, Loyola, BYU, Oregon, SMU. Next 4 out, Virginia Tech, Florida, St. Bonnie, and Dayton. I want to see Dayton in this tournament so bad.
Vatek's lethal if they can get in there. Because Kiva Luma, I think he might be the most underrated player in college basketball. He is a phenomenal, not only offensive player, he'll give you an efficient 21 a night, but he can also lock up any good big man on defense. So there's a player in his team to watch out for, but the rest of their team outside of that isn't really that good. By the way, if you're really a diehard college basketball fan, remember those really good Wofford teams? Storm Murphy transferred to Virginia Tech, so he's on there now. It's pretty cool, but he isn't doing much this season anyways. Yep. But I'm pretty excited to see what the bubble's going to turn out like. I mean, again, this is 10 days away from Selection Sunday. So there are going to be so many upsets during Champ Week that this is going to change pretty drastically. If Loyola Chicago wins their conference tournament, which could very well happen, we're not even having this conversation. Exactly. We're not gonna have this conversation anymore. But if they lose in the first round, then we start talking about some things. So it all just depends what happens during Champ Week for a lot of these teams, especially in the bubble. So we'll get to see. But for a lot of these teams, I'm confused but happy at the same time for them because it's not in our hands to decide who goes in. We just get to talk about it.
No, eventually it will be in our hands, just not yet.
I really hope, because if people like Andy Katz get a say in anything, then I'm concerned for the state of the sport.
He's not the worst. I've seen a lot worse analysts on Twitter.
Andy Katz is about as bad as it gets. We've talked about this before. He's about as smart as a brainhead cat. Like, come on, it's bad.
As we move into the 68-team bracket, the first 4, Alcorn State and New Orleans. Listen, I'm not doing research on the first 4 for these.
Skip.
Doesn't matter. And then you got San Diego State, Rutgers. Matt Bradley and the Aztecs versus Ron Harper Jr. and the Scarlet Knights.
I'm going to fly through this quickly. San Diego State, phenomenal defense, and they have some offense to them too. Rutgers can easily get shut down by a really good defensive team like them. I got the what is their mascot? The Aztecs? Yeah, I got the Aztecs in this one. I got the
Aztecs by 10 at least. Then you move into Memphis and Indiana.
Because you never know with Memphis. Because Memphis and Alabama, both the most inconsistent teams.
Indiana, not Alabama. Indiana.
That's what I was saying. No, I was saying Alabama and Memphis are the most inconsistent teams in college basketball. And you never know with Memphis because in that game they could win by 30 or lose by 30. So I guess Indiana, because I think there's a better chance that Michigan plays bad and they play well, but that's not a game I'm betting on, that's for sure.
Yeah. And when John goes one team in a coin flip game, I must go the other way, meaning I'll take Memphis. As we move Bryant, Norfolk State. Bryant's been hot as of late. We'll go Bryant. We'll move
I got Bryant this game.
Gonzaga versus the Skip game. Gonzaga as we move into David Roddy versus one of the worst in Colorado State versus what could be the worst Xavier team that we've seen over the past decade.
I don't know about the worst. There were teams that didn't make the tournament.
All right. As of the past 2-3 weeks. How about I'll correct myself there.
In the last 2 or 3 weeks, they've been pitiful. I mean, this is a team that still has star power, though. You got Carl Scruggs. You got our guy, Zach Freemantle, who did show a lot of potential at the end of last season. He hasn't really been having his best year this year, but, you know.
I've heard rumors that he might transfer, too.
I have no idea. But I think I'm going Colorado State.
Same.
Because you have Isaiah Stevens, you have David Roddy, and you have a bunch of other players that know their role, and they're doing pretty good in the conference right now. They could do better, but they're also in a really underrated conference. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Scruggs takes over and has 25, 5, and 5, but yeah. I got Colorado State this one.
Also, just pausing the bracket real quick. Can we both agree right now that the Mountain West is going to be the absolute best tournament in the country? Outside of the Power Six.
I know. I'm really weirdly looking forward to the AAC because there is no true team that I like in there. Because when Marcus Sasser went down for Houston, I think that conference is wide open. I'm not saying that MWC will be bad, though. I think there are a ton of teams that can really make a push at winning. But the A10 is going to be – not the A10. The AAC is going to be insane, personally.
And speaking of Houston, next up you got Houston and South Dakota State.
Ooh. I think any team that's matching up against South Dakota State is going to be a nightmare because their offense is unbelievable. Now, their defense is also bottom 300 in the country, so they're not good defensively, but they could hang 100 on a bad defensive team. Although Houston is very good defensively. I think in this matchup, I got to go Houston because I feel like Houston is going to have a good enough defense and a good enough offense, meaning that South Dakota State might put up a lot of points, but they're going to give up way too many for Houston to not win the game. I got Houston, but I would not be surprised if the Jackrabbits come away with that one.
I feel like I gotta go to the Jackrabbits here. I'm showing a lot of love to my mid-majors today. I'm in a generous mood, so to speak, after that Little Rock USA game. Yes, I did watch the final 10 minutes of that because I had nothing else to do, and it was a great game. So, UCLA, Toledo representing the MAC. I think that you could really make the argument that there's 3 to 4 teams that could realistically represent the MAC, and at least I want to say Kent State and Ohio might stay the 13 seed if they win the MAC tournament. I think there's 3 MAC teams that will end up being a 13 seed if they won the MAC tournament.
I think that in this game, UCLA is an upset factor, only because that Johnny Juzang and in particular Jaime Jaquez are playing injured. I know Jaime Jaquez is, and I think Johnny Juzang is too for the rest of the season. Jaime Jaquez is confirmed playing injured for the rest of the season. He's not resting on his ankle anymore. He's wearing double ankle braces. He's playing through pain every single night. And I think that's to the team's detriment. I mean, he's a great player, but injured Jaime Jaquez versus healthy Jaime Jaquez are 2 different players. I think in this round you got to go UCLA, though. I know I'm going chalk for all these. This is usually Ethan's job, but I think I got UCLA in this one. I think Toledo's a great team, though. Don't get me wrong, but I think UCLA has too much star power. If Jules Bernard goes 1 for 80 like he usually does, though, then Toledo has a chance.
Yeah, I'll take UCLA here, but never know. I don't think UCLA would be able to mess up that poorly. As we move into LSU versus Michigan.
Oh, God. This matchup.
LSU barely lost to Arkansas last night in a classic, and you can argue that the refs might have gave Arkansas at the end after that little interesting charge call, but I'm not one to criticize the refs.
This matchup is two teams that irritate me when I watch them play basketball, particularly Michigan, because there's so much talent on the floor and they just can't do anything with it. But Michigan's just been on such a downturn recently. You got Juwan Howard acting like Muhammad Ali. You got Hunter Dickinson playing like your average fifth grader at the local rec. I think I got to go LSU, and this might be really biased since I'm not a big fan of Michigan at all. Yeah, I'm not even an Ohio State fan either. I just don't like Michigan. But I think Xavier Mays and Theo Penson and all those guys can get it done. Personally, I got them.
You know, it's interesting when the Texas fan dislikes Michigan more than the Illinois fan, but I'd also take LSU in this situation.
I don't know about more. You've had some classic Michigan hate moments before on the show, so I don't know about that one.
I've grown to respect them after Juwan Howard threw that punch. But Texas Tech, New Mexico State. New Mexico State.
Tech by 30. Tech by 30. I don't
All
care.
right, moving on. All right, we both agree. All right. Marquette versus San Francisco. Marquette just recently, I believe yesterday, lost to DePaul. Don't quote me on that. I'll check. But who you got? San Francisco versus... Marquette, they lost to DePaul by 11.
Even knowing that really depressing news, I still got to go Marquette. Shock is a horrible coach in the tournament, so I'm in the next round they play. I'm probably going to pick them to get out, but the Dons do not impress me. I think
if they'd play Purdue because you got Purdue, Montana State next. But we'll get into that after.
I think Montana State is a valid. San Francisco, they haven't shown me anything this year. We went over them already a little bit. I'm not hating on them. They just haven't won any big games. Like, they're a good team. They have some guys that can really play. But in terms of big wins this season, I haven't seen any. Maybe they get a dub in the WCC tournament and proves me wrong. But I got to go Marquette this one, even though Shaka Smart's a horrible tournament coach. Maybe he turns it around and proves every Texas fan wrong. But he didn't do anything for us in 6 years, so wouldn't be surprised if he didn't do anything Marquette either.
I'm picking San Francisco out of spite for Marquette.
Spite.
Purdue, Montana State.
Next.
Purdue should definitely win that, yeah. As we move, Kansas, Cleveland State. The Horizon tournament kicked off. Detroit Mercy won yesterday. Tonight we got Oakland Wright State starting in 43 minutes from this exact moment.
You said Oakland versus Wright State?
Yep. Yeah, you heard me right. Two coaches that we've interviewed. Incredible
nice.
Men. I don't know who I want to win. Scott Nagy agrees with us on the transfer portal, and then Greg Kampe might be the smartest man I've ever talked to in a basketball sense.
Outside of me, of course. No, but seriously,
I hope one of these teams makes it over Cleveland State. No disrespect to Cleveland State, meant, but just talking with these guys, there's like 4, 5, 6 teams, and also talking about the Horizon, like Pat Baldwin Sr. got fired, so yeah.
How do you lose that much of the 5-star prospects in that conference?
Yeah, he was injured.
Again, for a lot of the season.
He only played 11 games, albeit they went 3-8 in those 11. He only played 11 games.
He might have. I feel so bad. Pat Baldwin Jr. is going to be a great NBA player, hopefully, but
he's really projected as a late first-round pick. I know I told you something. Word is that I've been hearing he's a transfer to a blue blood if he doesn't like where he's going to get drafted.
I would oppose him. What's the potential matchup, though? I forgot.
Kansas, Cleveland State. Kansas by at least 30.
Yeah, I love that conference, but Kansas should comfortably win that, unfortunately.
Seton Hall, Wyoming.
That is a game. That is a game. Oh, my.
And here's the thing. Wyoming lost to UNLV yesterday, and they're moving into that bubble territory if they don't win their next game.
Who's their next game against?
You're making me think. I'll look that up, but right now, who you got?
Well, there is so much star power in this game. I mean, obviously, if we're looking at
Fresno State. They have to go up against one of the best players in the conference.
So here's my thing. On Seton Hall side of things, you got a lot of star power. You got Miles Powell, you got Bryce Akins, and you
Miles
got those.
Powell's gone.
I'm not Miles Powell. What is it? I forgot his name. Roden. Sorry.
Yeah, Jared Roden.
Jared Roden, not Miles Powell. Miles Powell is really good though. You got Jared Roden, Miles Powell. Oh my God, Jared Roden and Bryce Aiken. Good Lord. The point is that those two guys are great, but when they're not cooking, this team is vulnerable to lose, and that's why I think I got Wyoming in this game. Wyoming has two guys on their team that can just flat out play at
Maldonado and Ike.
Maldonado and Graham Ike. Graham Ike and Hunter Maldonado are two ballers.
You know, it's a good year when I've convinced at least 10 people at a public high school in Illinois to watch Wyoming basketball.
Yeah, they're just a great team all around. They have a great point guard. They have a dominant big man. They have a great shooter, and what's his name? Drake Jeffries. I mean, his name. He's shooting like something like 43% from three, but he's knocked down. This team is just so good. I wouldn't be surprised if they go second weekend with how much talent they have on this team. And this team's old and this team's experienced. And I'm really excited to see this team play. If they get that matchup, I think Wyoming wins. Not decently, but I think they win.
No, you mentioned that gets a second weekend. I've been thinking this a lot. I think that assuming all of the Mountain West teams are an 8 or a 9 seed, I know probably one of them's going to get to a 6 or a 7, but I think one of the Mountain West teams, if they're all 8 or 9 seeds, at least one of them will upset a 1 seed.
Knowing your luck, it's not happening.
Well, true. But I can hope. As we move into Arkansas, my new favorite team to watch over the past 3 weeks. Eric Musselman is a phenomenal coach. He has great energy. The fans love him.
He went from 0 to 100 real quickly. He went from 0 to 100 like that.
Yeah, and they're going against North Texas. A very good North Texas team at that. Arkansas should definitely win that.
North Texas did beat Purdue last year in the tournament. I remember watching that. Javon Hamlet had the game of his life and took the Mean Green to the second round. So you never know with that team, if I'm being honest with you. But I think North Texas will not win that game personally.
Hey, John, what player in the Missouri Valley Conference was I hyping up to begin the year? Do you remember his name? He's on Northern Iowa.
I know. I don't remember his name, but I remember
AJ Green. You know who Northern Iowa's predicted to go up against?
Texas?
Illinois.
No.
This game would be so much of a pain for me to watch because, well, I want Northern Iowa to win the game, but I also want Illinois to actually win something for me. So,
yeah. I hope your team loses on a half-court buzzer beater.
Just like Purdue to Rutgers.
No, just like Northern Iowa versus Texas. That's where I was going with that.
Yeah. Illinois should win this.
Should.
So moving into another Big Ten team, this time versus an ACC. Ohio State versus Wake Forest. Ohio State's been falling. Wake Forest has 2.
This is a horrible game.
I take Wake Forest in the upset. Alondas Williams is the best player has been the best player in the ACC this year.
I've not been too high on Wake Forest this year. They still haven't gotten too many big wins. They've just beaten cupcake teams after cupcake teams, and their out-of-conference schedule is a disaster. I've got Ohio State, but this game, I'm not watching this game. I'm going to be watching this game. Don't get me wrong, but not going to be the team I'm marking down my schedule. It's like the game I have to watch. Look at it that way.
Get us to 10,000 subscribers so we can afford to fly John out to Chicago to watch the first 2 rounds with me.
Please.
Villanova Towson.
Nice.
Yeah. Michigan State Miami.
Wait, out of curiosity, what seed is that? Was that 1-16?
That's 3-14.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we're still in the second part.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah. Michigan State Miami. Miami's been a very happy surprise for Miami.
They've been a great surprise.
Preseason, we were talking crap about Miami. I know you remember. We said they're probably going to finish the bottom half of the conference. They proved us wrong. Good for them. Hopefully they can get the win here in my case because, I like seeing Michigan State lose. But,
Michigan State's been awful streak lately. I don't know if they're going to turn around. I'm not saying they aren't. I'm not saying they are either. Tom Izzo is a very good tournament coach, though. So is Jim Lorania. Off the top of my head, I might go Miami. I saw Miami play in person one time, so
Michigan State.
go Canes. I don't know.
I like Michigan State. I like it is Izzo's month. So
to be honest, I'm not too informed to tell you guys of that game. So I'm just going to go Miami out of pure bias.
Auburn, Colgate. Colgate, slightly less high scoring team as last year. Still playing an SEC team that starts with A.
Next.
I can't hype up Colgate. I can't hype up the toothpaste.
If the toothpaste plays against the Tiger will eat the toothpaste. We got to go next.
All right. Baylor and Long Beach State.
Next.
All right. Notre Dame, Murray State. The best Murray State team in history. Overall, I'm not saying star power wise. I'm saying overall, the team play. They have more than just one star. Is what I'm saying.
The Racers have been to the Sweet 16 before, and I don't know if this team is going to the Sweet 16. They have a great team. I think they comfortably win the OVC, even though Belmont is a phenomenal team this year. Sorry, Belmont fans, if you're watching. But I just if they're playing against Notre Dame, I think they win. Not comfortably, but I think they win because Notre Dame is just not my favorite team this year. I'm not even a Notre Dame hater. I just don't. They're not my favorite team this year in terms of how good they are.
I'm just going to prove my point real quick. KJ Williams, 18.2 points. Tevin Brown, 13 points. And then you also had Justice Hill adding 13. 16.4 and then 13. So, overall, that's a solid trio.
A little bit of a three-headed monster there.
After
I don't know if they're going to have any top 3 overall draft picks, but
well, right.
I think they're going to win some games.
I said overall team.
That's what I mean.
My problem is, if you're putting them at this 9 seed, I personally see them more as a 6 seed, 7 seed.
We'll see.
They're not going to be the 9 seed. I think they're going to be an 8 or 7, and I hope they get the 7 because it fits them a lot better. But moving into Alabama versus San Diego State, because neither of us picked Rutgers. Do the Crimson Tide get it done versus the Aztecs, or do the Aztecs defense not let a single Alabama 3 through the net? What are we thinking?
Alabama doesn't have no consistency to win 2 games in a row. I got the Aztecs moving on the second weekend, personally.
I hate how we both agree on that. But moving in to Vermont at the 13, UConn at 4. What are we thinking here, John?
I'm a big UConn fan. That's all I have to say. I absolutely love their backcourt, and I love their front court too. Well, maybe not love their front court, but Aycock and Thomas Sanogo, whichever one of them's playing, they can get it done. Not to mention the fact they have guys like Whaley, and then they have a phenomenal backcourt. They got Tyrese Martin and RJ Cole. Makes life pretty easy.
Yep. As we move into, I know you were talking about St. Mary's earlier. Guess who's a projected 6 seed? Going up against either Indiana or Memphis.
I got St. Mary's all day in that game. Doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, for sure. Same. A 6 seed at St. Mary's, though. Let's just take the time to acknowledge that. You're saying St. Mary's is in the top half of the teams competing in this conference.
They've had better teams, but if they play that game, they'll win. I think personally, all they have to do is do a good job on Trace Jackson Davis if he manages to win that game for them.
Yep. And you got Tennessee, Princeton. In Tennessee, you have 3 people that can handle the ball. At Princeton,
to be honest with you, actually, no, never mind. Tennessee's defense is way too good. Tennessee is like next.
Yeah. Then you got Iowa and Keegan Murray against Davidson.
Davidson has lost too many games where I think they should have won the season. And Iowa's just a consistently good program. Fran McCafferty is a great coach, and Keegan Murray and his brother, by the way, his twin brother, right?
Yeah,
twin brother. I think they're too good. They're the 2 best players on that team. Unstoppable chemistry. I think I've got Iowa in that game personally.
I'd take Iowa too. I don't want to, but I think that they got to get that revenge spot from last year from their tournament play. As we move directly to Duke Longwood.
Next.
Really, just next? Nothing? All right.
Paolo's a drunk. How about
that? All right. Final area before we just talk college basketball in this conference tournament, in this March Madness tournament. Arizona versus either Bryant or Norfolk State. We said Bryant. Arizona wins easily.
Okay, here's my deal. Here's my deal about Bryant. Bryant's a very good team. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think this is one of those games where they can keep it close to the final few minutes, personally. Because Arizona's vulnerable, and I think Bryant is not going to win. I'm going to pick Arizona in my bracket if this happens. But Bryant, right. I don't know. I think like Bryant on the spread.
As we see Boise State, TCU. TCU, team that upset Kansas. Boise State, team that is the Mountain West Conference champions. Who we got here, John?
Might have to go Boise State. I'm not too sure, though, to be honest with you.
That's a tough game to predict. I mean,
it's a tough game.
If I'm looking at TCU, it's going to be tough because you have three guys scoring 10 or more. You have Mike Miles, who's one of the best sophomores in the country, averaging 15.4, 3.6, and 4.1. I take TCU barely.
This is a toss-up game for me because I've watched a lot of TCU this year as a Big 12 fan. I get it. Mike Miles is a very high-level player. But Boise State is completely holding their own in a solid Mountain West Conference. And they've won some really big games this year against very high-level competition. To be honest with you, I would go outside, throw a coin as high as I can in the air, let it bounce, and then I'll pick a team based on whatever I pick between heads and tails in this game. I think I might have bias to go TCU. I want to see Big 12 teams do good, so I'll pick the Horned Frogs.
As we move to Texas and Iona.
Texas wins. Don't care. Rick Pitino, you're a great coach. Probably better than.
And speaking of Rick Pitino, there were rumors earlier today.
He denied them. He denied them.
Yeah, I know he denied them. I wanted to ask your thoughts, be it that he would go to Maryland. He denied them. He loves Iona. Is it a smoke screen? Is it what do you think it is?
Here's my thing with Pitino. He's a shady guy. So you never know with him. I mean, it's not like people will turn on him if he leaves Iona because it's Iona, and he's clearly gotten it done at a school where they've never gotten it done before.
5 straight tournament titles.
Exactly. When was the last time you heard of Iona before Pitino got there? So I think there's a possibility he could leave, but he stayed there for so long that you never know. Actually, maybe he found his new home. I mean, he is from the Northeast, so maybe he really likes it up there. So in the upstate New York. So I don't know.
And then going off of that, can we see Iona turn, I don't want to say into the next mid-major powerhouse. They've been great in their conference. Do we potentially see an Iona leaving in the next few years?
That's if Pitino stays. How old is he?
Let's see. How old is Rick Pitino? 69.
He's going to be retiring in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I only see him leaving to coach a team if it's going to be a guaranteed national title contender. I don't think, if you're Maryland, I don't want Rick Pitino because you know you don't have long with him. And you know you're searching for a new coach at Iona. You like the national attention.
You keep him while he stays. Keep him while he stays.
Yeah. If you're Iona, you pay him as much as you possibly can. As we move into two of the teams that have been the most fun teams in their conferences to watch, in my opinion. The Friars of Providence and the Mocs of Chattanooga. So,
here's my thing. Ethan, I have a question for you before we talk about this game, actually. Sorry to cut you off. Would you say that Chattanooga is a guard-dominant team?
Yes.
Providence by 30. Providence has the best perimeter defense in the country, particularly against guards. So
here's my thing. Chattanooga is not a lock to make this. there's a lot of teams in their conference. Furman, Wofford, that VMI even could have a solid run at this.
VMI has the best shooter in the country, and he's not 6 feet tall. He's 7 feet tall. They're center.
Yeah. So I'd go Providence here.
I got Providence easy.
This is a very ugly matchup for Chattanooga.
It's an awful matchup for Chattanooga. It really is. Couldn't get much worse than that.
Yep. As we look on to USC Creighton, how are we thinking, John?
USC's really turned up this season. I still don't think they've had a signature win yet, considering the only time they had a signature win was they beat UCLA, and UCLA is really struggling with injuries. I think that this will be a good battle test for Creighton. Creighton's not having their best year relative to their standards. The McDermott era has been very good to them in terms of winning. But I'm liking Southern Cal here, honestly. I think they have a great collection of guys who like Boogie Ellis and Isaiah Mobile who can step up. But a guy who's been stepping up for this team and it's just been going ballistic is Drew Peterson, putting on for the White Boys. He's been, I think, their leading scorer in the past 10 games, and he went crazy versus UCLA. He went crazy versus Arizona, even though he lost to them. And he's been putting up great numbers in the Pac-12. So I've got USC here, even though I trash on them all the time. I think this is a pretty good matchup for USC.
I agree. I don't think I see a true way where Creighton could win this. I think that USC, they'd have themselves some fun. And then you head into the next round where you're playing probably a Wisconsin team because do you think Texas State upsets Wisconsin?
Personally, no.
I'm not even sure Texas State makes it out of the Sun Belt. We got Arkansas State playing right now.
Arkansas State, favorite team in the country.
Arkansas State, yeah, and they were the 6th seed in their conference, even though they have the best player in their conference.
Mm-hmm. Best player in the conference last year, too.
Exactly. But as we move into Iowa State, North Carolina, what are we thinking?
These are two struggling teams. These are two teams that have had great years in the past probably 5 years or so, but they're not doing too good this year. I think that in this game, this is a toss-up for sure. I honestly don't know. Coin flip game again. Maybe North Carolina, because I've been to a game of theirs before. I don't know. But I do want to see I don't know.
I think Isaiah Brockington could get it done personally, but
you made the same argument for Caleb Love, though.
I mean, Caleb Love's been coming off the bench. He has not been necessarily the best.
He has games, though.
When he's on, but I'm not seeing him on much lately.
It's true. I think at Iowa State, then, yeah.
As looking at Kentucky, Jacksonville State, Kentucky.
Oh, wait, Jacksonville State's going to be they chose Jacksonville State to have a – hold on. Like, am I dumb? Because isn't Jacksonville State from the OVC?
ASUN.
Never mind. I'm actually the conference in my head.
I mean, even thinking about the ASUN, think about the teams that are in the conference real quick.
Liberty, FGCU.
Bellarmine.
That's their ASUN, great conference to watch this year, actually. 5 teams that I would be really excited to see in the tournament. They produce winners over there. And Liberty. Liberty's been in the past 4 tournaments, I think won games in 3 of them.
Yeah, and Liberty also has a guy who can drop 50 on any night.
Great school.
Very good school. And looking right now, conference tournament, maybe not even – is there even a point to look at the odds for conference tournaments? I think that we just go right into national championship odds. What are you thinking?
I'm sure.
Let's just go from – do you want to go top 10? Yeah, Gonzaga plus 370, Arizona plus 600, Kentucky plus 750, Baylor plus 1,000, Duke plus 1,300, Auburn 1,400, Kansas 1,600, Purdue 1,600, Nova 2,400, Texas Tech 2,500, UCLA 2,800, Tennessee and Houston both at plus 4,000.
I think the best odds there are Duke and Texas Tech. I think that these are two teams that can win the national championship. I'm not as confident about Texas Tech. I don't think that they have all of it, all the pieces together to win a national championship. I don't know if their offense is good enough, but I'm liking Duke a lot at those 1,300 odds. I like this team a lot. I think they have 3 or 4 guys who are going to be good, at least players in the NBA. I mean, they'll get minutes. AJ Griffin's gonna be a good player. Paulo Banchero, we already know about him. He's gonna be a top 5 draft pick. You got Trevor Keels, again, is gonna be another good draft pick, and you got all these other rotation pieces who really work in your favor, like Theo John and Joey Baker, and these are guys that don't do much in terms of the box score, but they're gonna get it done on TV and they're gonna get it done in terms of making an impact. I think this team's deep. I think this team is pretty well coached. Would you say?
Yeah, slightly.
They got some good coaches over there. I don't really know any names, but I think this is a team who is one of my national championship favorites for sure. And if you got them at 1,300 odds right now, that's not a bad play at all. I think they're a really good team.
For sure. And I'm looking right now, Arkansas State down 4 with 3:10 left in the first half. Tonight we got a lot of good games, and I'm looking at mainly for tomorrow. Tomorrow you don't have a single top 25 game.
Really?
You have an early game, Longwood, North Carolina A&T. You have a 1:30 game, Charleston Southern, USC Upstate. Charleston Southern upset.
This is Central Time, by the way. 1:30 Central Time.
Yes, these are all Central Time. Obviously, I don't think my. Also, tomorrow you got the tournament starting for the Missouri Valley Conference.
Arch Madness, baby. Played in St. Louis every year.
And I'm going to look up that bracket, and let's just go over that real quick, because I think...
By the way, I have to leave in about 5 minutes, so we'll run through that while you stay on and wrap up the show.
First round, you had Illinois State, Indiana State, Valparaiso, Evansville today. Who you got?
I don't think Valpo fell off a cliff from their last conference. They came into the NBC and they've been not putting up numbers. I think I got Evansville, the Aces.
And then I think we got Indiana State over Illinois State.
Yeah, it works.
Why not?
Indiana State's been a national championship before.
Yep. And then the game that I like tomorrow a lot, maybe it's because I'm going to Bradley, but Bradley did beat Loyola earlier this year. Can they do it again?
Bias, nope. Loyola by 30.
Bradley beat them by 7 last time, I believe, so never know.
I'm just kidding. I think realistically it's going to be Loyola because of their great defense. Sure. But, hey, Bradley can win. Clearly they can.
Drake, Southern Illinois.
Drake.
Who do you think wins this conference? Out of UNI, Loyola, Missouri State, Drake, if any team besides those 4 win it, then our minds will be blown.
I think literally at this point, it's gotten to a point where you can just throw money down Loyola Chicago and it happens. I mean, I think, what was it? I think it was last year where people were doubting them finally. They're like, there's no way they go on another run. There's no way they do it. And they went to they went to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8? Sweet 16, right? They went to the Sweet 16 out of nowhere. So I also get it. They don't have their coach now. He's currently in Oklahoma doing his thing over there. But if I'm being honest with you, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they still have the same core of guys. They have a few guys who are on the Final Four team as well. And I just think that they might not even be the best team in their conference, but just based on what they've been able to do over the past few years, I think they're just gonna win it. I don't know. There's no valid argument, but yeah. And then you said that tournament starts when?
Today.
When specifically? I guess
43 minutes ago, I believe, or maybe I think this might be Central Time. So in 17 minutes. Today's the 3rd, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
I mean, I'll have a lot of fun stuff to watch tomorrow on the bus because I'm going down to Illinois State myself. But
you're going down to Illinois State?
Yeah, my high school's girls team is playing for a state championship in the semifinals right now.
Let's go, Quality.
Yep. Going to be a lot of fun. We're playing a girls team that has a girl that's 50 offers. So It's going to be tough, but I think we can do it.
On
that note,
Loyola. And if it's not Loyola, it's Drake.
Yep. And on that note, I think we are going to sign off. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Check out our YouTube, Creating Madness, Instagram, _Creating Madness, and Twitter @ATR Madness. Our goal is to hit 250 by the end of March Madness. Realistically, it looks possible. Right now, we are hovering at about the 224 mark. If we can get 300 by the end of March Madness, that'd be great heading into the off season. But we'll see.
Nothing else to say. I was just running a text from my mom, but I had a lot of fun the show personally. I feel like it was nice to get back on after once in a while. Again, sorry everyone. Ethan can attest this. I've been in the gauntlet in terms of business. Basketball season ended. We're still going hard with basketball stuff. But March 11th, I'm going to be firing on all cylinders. Don't you guys worry about that. But I'll still have time to work during Champ Week. I'll obviously be covering March Madness like a madman. That's gonna be more.
Champ Week, you'll be covering the final 2.5 days of Champ Week.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so I'll see you guys later. Ethan will obviously see you guys later, and thank you for watching. If you're here,
see y'all.
See ya.